Hey, welcome to Cordkillers Reckoning. You know, the world of entertainment is turned upside down, and we're just trying to find out how to watch what we want, where we want, whenever we want. I'm Tom Merritt. Where's the good stuff, Brian?
Hello, Tom. Happy Tuesday to you, too. Yeah. I didn't get the memo that we were doing NPR voices today.
Well, I'm wearing a sweater, so it makes me talk like that. You know?
Okay. I'll tell you where the good stuff is, man. It's in our new date and time. How's it feeling? We're what, 3-4 weeks in?
Yeah, it feels normal already, which I think is a good sign. And I know it's not perfect for everyone. We've seen the emails and we acknowledge it. But we also have some people like, this works better for me because they can make it at that time and they couldn't on Monday. Or it just comes out at a better time for them. Or they listen on Friday anyway, no matter when we record it. So yeah, I think it's been a good thing. It also means we never have to deal with holidays because holidays fall on Mondays. Like every once in a while, I guess July 4th might fall on Tuesday, but we're good to go every week.
Yeah.
That said, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks.
Whoops. By the way, yeah, I guess we'll talk in after talk about exactly what that entails.
Yeah. Meanwhile, it's time for the supply run.
Supply run.
We have discussed previously that Hannah Waddingham, Brett Goldstein, and Jeremy Swift had been secured, according to sources, for another season of Ted Lasso content. And we had speculated, would it be a spinoff, et cetera? There were some rumors out there that it might be about a women's soccer team versus a men's soccer team. Well, Jason Sudeikis confirmed it will be Ted Lasso, at least in the show, even if it's not named that, because he said on the New Heights podcast, which is Travis and Jason Kelsey's podcast, that he will return for season 4. Deadline here is it will start in Kansas. So we will see Ted back in Kansas, and then he will head to the UK for this season. Sudeikis said, as we all continue to live in a world where so many factors have conditioned us to look before we leap, in season 4, the folks at AFC Richmond learn to leap before they look, discovering that wherever they land, it's exactly where they were meant to be. Deadline also reports that this is going to be the women's soccer team and that Lasso is going to coach it. And it brings me to this question, Brian. Do we want more Ted Lasso?
Oh, yes. I want more of that world. The question is, what flavor of that world are we going to get? Season 1, there's no way that they could have planned for this, but they decided to lean into unironic positivity in season 1. And thankfully, the world conspired, thankfully for them, the world conspired for its success by having a global pandemic when everybody was despairing, terrified, letting the worst the worst devils of their nature, I guess.
The better devils of their nature.
Yeah, the worst devils of their nature take charge. But at that time, it was a bright, shining spotlight. And what's fascinating is they didn't want to do that 2 years in a row because if it's nothing but candy, your teeth, it's too cloying. So they tried to go dark in season 2, which I think most people agree was kind of frustrating, but that wasn't the flavor that we liked, or it was an ill-fitting suit. And then, whatever, they wrapped it up with season 3. I like that they're going for a totally different angle. By the way, quick counterpoint to that. Just as Ted Lasso rode the wave of positivity during a feel-bad time, The Bear rode the wave of negativity during a feel-good time. And so now we're stepping out of that duality and we're moving into something totally different, something that is not about emotionally charged feel good or feel bad, but instead impulse versus security. And at a time where we've had 4 whole years of, pandemic era hammering into our head, caution, look before you leap, measure twice, cut once, all of that stuff. Now, I don't know if you saw the headlines, Tom, there's a bit of a vibe shift and some people are going crazy for the leap before you look vibes, that more Wild West thing. I have no idea whether it's going to chime in to anything political, but just in general, I am picking up on a lot of running around first, thinking and talking about it later.
Yeah. By the way, it's 5 years since we had those first COVID lockdowns in March 2020. Little perspective.
I don't remember
setting.
anything. I remember one dude snapped, and then I was here.
Oh yeah. The
We all
lucky
just
few
went through the blip.
The lucky few went through the blip. Missed it all. I have so many thoughts about this. One thought is Ted Lasso was never meant to be anything but a skit. But then it became a series of promos for NBC. And it was like, that skit turned into a pretty good series of promos. Then it became a show on Apple TV Plus, and it turned out, that series of promos ended up changing quite a bit, but became a really good series of TV shows. Can it continue as season 4 is a whole different question, because we're not making a new version. We're not making a Ted Lasso movie out of this. We're just extending it, but they're trying to reinvent it. And that's where it gets weird for me. There were two things that I think were appealing about Ted Lasso, and your mileage may vary about whether these are appealing for you or not. One was the sort of unwilling hero in Hannah Waddingham's character, right? She was taking over this soccer club in order to run it into the ground, right? She didn't want it to succeed. And she clearly hired Ted because she thought he would be horrible, but it would get her a lot of press. That was the premise. And it turned out, oh, wait a minute. She found out she could actually be good at this, and she was underestimating herself. Going into a women's soccer team has a little bit of that, like, well, it's a women's soccer team. That's a different thing. But women's football is very popular. It is extremely popular, and it's not so much of a against all odds can she make a women's soccer team work. It's more of like, well, she made a men's soccer team work. I wonder if she can make a women's soccer team work. So it doesn't feel as much of a mountain for her to climb. And the beauty of Ted Lasso to me, the character, was he was taking something that I think Jason Sudeikis understood, which is there is a part of the Midwestern stereotype that people make fun of, but is extremely valuable. And in the cynical world of the rich owners of football clubs, he was able to inject a little homespun wisdom in a way that you would make fun of and think was kind of cliche, but worked out. And I thought it was magical, and only somebody actually from Kansas, I think, could make that work, how he made that work. But we already know that magic trick. So him coming back from Kansas to coach the women's team, again, I'm like, what are we going to learn about Ted Lasso? So I'm nervous about that. I don't think they'd be doing it if they hadn't figured out how to solve those two things, but I'm nervous about what those are.
Well, so think about the dualities that we had in season 1, or I guess in the first iteration of Ted Lasso. We had him being comfortable as the underdog, as the butt of the jokes, with relentless positivity. We had him uncomfortable when it came to the fact that, he was comfortable leading the boys on the pitch, but he was uncomfortable with the fact that he couldn't get his own house in order in terms of his marriage and so on. So likewise, we could step out of the positivity and negativity world and instead find a different duality. For example, the mere fact that, and this is speculation on my part, I don't know, but just having heard it's about a women's soccer/football team, what do I think of when I think of girls? I think of, I already am thinking of an underdog in sports. So as a result, I want to immediately wrap my mind around a complete subversion of that, which I could totally picture. What if the star is Ted Lasso's discomfort with, for example, a bunch of young girls who are all filthy, awful, potty-mouthed, bad-mannered, gross, everything that's the opposite of of who you would want to cheer for. Like, what if we, as the audience, really didn't want to see these people succeed, and Ted was our proxy, he was our touchstone, and instead it took somebody who was duality. We saw the character arc of Hannah Waddingham's character start off as the embodiment of all this petty, dark, filthy thoughts and become a transformed person.
Okay.
So what if she's the one who takes charge and dips back, like she's the one who's able to speak their language and bring them along, despite the fact that like what if episode 1, they go out of their way and horrify the audience, like, we don't like this football team, and somehow they win us over to them a bit at a time.
that plays into something that I was started to think about while you were talking just now, which is the other thing you could do is in the original run, you have an American gridiron football coach. What could he know about soccer? He's probably a horrible person. And we're like, no, he's a really good person, but he has to win a bunch of people over to understand that. You have a guy coaching a women's team, right? So you're set up for, this is a chauvinistic American. What does he know about women? And so you have a growth arc for Ted to learn what he doesn't know about coaching a women's soccer team and learn like, hey, I need to be able to listen more and prove to them that a guy can understand what they need and help them and overcome those stereotypes. That was another thing Ted Lasso was good at, is taking the uncomfortable stereotypes of all facets of society and saying they don't always have to play into the stereotype. They don't always have to be like that.
You know what? I just realized as we were speculating about this that we've already seen this playbook. And in fact, I watched another episode of it last night with Calliope. I'm describing The Good Place. Every single character in The Good Place is deplorable at the beginning and by the end. And then you get won over by certain characters. And then it's like, but I don't like her sister Camilla. But by the end, you love literally every single character, including the demons, by the end of this story. And they could do the exact same thing. You know what? I hope I'm right. Ooh, would that be tasty? Oh, put that one in the prediction bucket if Brian's right about this.
All right. You know, you've helped me feel more optimistic. I wasn't against more Ted Lasso, but I was nervous about it. Like I said, I feel quite a bit more optimistic about this now.
Oh God, I hope I'm right.
Yeah. And if both of us are wrong about the positive aspects, I hope we are pleasantly wrong. Like, ooh, we didn't even think about that. That's even better. Right. Like,
I think I will be. I mean, I want to make a joke about Apple TV not disappointing something Severance lately. Anyway.
Tune into After Talk for more.
Yeah.
And the way you get After Talk is to become a patron at patreon.com/Cordkillers.
Tom, I've heard you talk about this thing.
Yeah.
But what is a Patreon?
Yeah, Patreon is a special place in space that you have to reach by believing rather than flying. Well, so it's appealing to the heart of you to really like say, oh, I want the best for Brian and Tom. And then you magically arrive at a planet in space that is perfect for you and everyone. Or you give us $1. Either one. Either one works. Yeah.
Well, I like that second one because I have too many dollars laying around anyway. They keep coming in from something called Patreon.
Oh, well, yeah. You can just give them right back by going to patreon.com/Cordkillers. I'll be honest, you could still do the believing part. It's really special and awesome. But, you know, if you're a little bit rushed, just go to patreon.com/Cordkillers. Pledge to help us out, and we will keep delivering these episodes because you make it possible for us to do it.
Oh, by the way, you know, we should start sounding the alarm now because there is an earthquake coming by the end of this year to Patreon, and everybody's going to act like nobody saw it coming. I'm here to tell you, and I'm no longer doing a bit. By the end of this year, they're going to stop allowing creators to charge per creation. Most of you guys were early adopters and you are per creation subscribers. Like we were about to go an order of magnitude down in what we're able to make on this program. So reconsider your current pledge. Okay, whatever a quarter of it is. It's not a full order of magnitude. But the point is, we're going to have to do some kind of refiguring when they force everyone to go per month, because I don't like that because it forces us to make everybody engage with us competing with Netflix and whatnot. You know, I like per creation because $2 an episode. I think we're worth that. $8 a month, $10 a month when there's 5 Tuesdays. That sounds different. I don't know.
Yeah. 8 is bigger than 2. Like there is a psychological difference there for sure. But the good news is when that happens, and it is important for us to let you know about that, Patreon is going to automatically adjust current pledges. So they will take into account what we've been doing, which is, on average 4 to 5 episodes a month. They'll do the math and they'll say, well, your pledge ends up being $3.50 a month. And then Brian and I will have to decide what that equates for new patrons going forward. And we'll be able to do that as well. I think the best way to make sure that you are getting the best deal on supporting Cordkillers possible is to become a patron at the per episode level right now. Because I guarantee I am going to be likely to round up when I make that decision when we have to go monthly.
Yeah. I hope people feel good enough about the value that we bring to do that.
Yeah. But in the end, it ends up mathematically being the same. Like within a margin of error, right? But it's roughly going to be the same. So we shouldn't see a decline in our revenue. But, if you wanted to increase your pledge just to make sure that I'm not wrong, patreon.com/Cordkillers is another place to go. Let's move on to the search party. There is a new trailer out for Black Mirror Season 7. Brian, first of all, before we get into talking about the trailer, Season 7, Black Mirror, that thing from the UK that you had to use VPNs maybe if you wanted to watch it. And then Netflix saved it. Now it's like a Netflix staple.
Am I right in hearing speculation or confirmation that this was going to be the last season or something?
I heard some scuttlebutt, but I haven't seen any confirmation on that.
Yeah,
so.
I think that when we mentioned this season, there may have been somebody who called it the last or whatever. But that idea definitely colored my experience of watching this trailer because we see the USS Callister, is that what it is?
Yeah, it's the first time that we've seen the return of characters or premises into a trailer.
In fact, I was tuned into this. We also see something that we've seen before with the little doodads that go on the temples that make your eyes go gray. We saw that in a previous episode, which makes me think if you were going to do a final season of Black Mirror, a clever conceit might be if every single episode in the final season tied into something before, because the third thing I noticed was a lot of meta commentary of people watching Black Mirror episodes. So that would be kind of, I could picture a spinning up to meta upon meta upon meta and drop the mic. That's the end of Black Mirror.
Is this the last season of Black Mirror?
Well, we don't know that, Tom. I was just speculating about that. Oh, wait.
I'm just seeing if there's any credible stuff out there. Yeah.
Yeah, we both got that idea, but I'm not sure where.
Yeah, there's nothing firm out there. But nevertheless, all-star cast. You got Awkwafina, Peter Capaldi. You get a doctor in here. Paul Giamatti. You get a president in here. Rashida Jones is in here. Chris O'Dowd, Issa Rae, Tracy Ellis Ross. All-star cast. Not that they haven't had stars before, but it really struck me that there are a lot of people I like in this season.
Yeah, that also, I don't know, part of me hopes it is the end of Black Mirror so that whatever they do next, give me a Black Mirror movie in 5 years or something.
I think I want Black Mirror to come out when they think they have really good stories to tell. And they're very good at telling good stories. So I don't want them to ever say it's the last season, but I also don't want them to promise there'll ever be another one. I'm comfortable with that. Every season can be the last season until they're like, you know what? We thought of some good stories. Because I would hate them to say that was the last season and then be like, well, I guess we have to make a movie now, right? Just whatever your story dictates, make that. I'm into that.
All right.
Comcast and NBCUniversal have renewed their U.S. rights to broadcast the Olympic Games through 2036, spending $3 billion for that. So they are spending a lot of money to make sure that they have the rights to broadcast the Olympic Games through 2036. And what this means to me, Brian, is they understand that the way they get people to subscribe to Peacock is by showing them the Olympics, and they believe that will be true for another 11 years.
That's not a bad play, to be honest, because that means that means you're never more than 2 years away from a very good reason to still have the service. So it's like right around the time, and statistically they can see when the unsubscriptions are coming in, when people are beginning to fall out, and then they could just press the advertise the Olympics button, and then all of a sudden they can watch in real time those hands hover and then decide not to cancel because you know what, the Olympics are just around the corner and I don't want to have to resubscribe.
It always surprises me, as someone who really enjoys watching the Olympics, that people continue to enjoy watching the Olympics.
Well, it's especially, I think you and I, we got a taste of peak Cold War Olympics, and I don't know that the Olympics will ever taste the same. Now it's more like a collegiate quiz bowl where it's like we're rooting for our team, but we're not having a proxy war to the death for the globe.
Yeah, right. But there's enough that's interesting to more people. I like the Olympics. I mean, I'm not denying that during the Cold War, it was definitely that, but I continued to like the Olympics even after because it was interesting. I'm like, oh, we get to see these weird stories and these unusual random number generators, of various forms. Like I don't generally watch this kind of sport, but it's fun to watch, and they're short, right? They're like downhill skiing. It takes like less than 10 minutes per skier, so you can watch a lot of them. And I think it's special that it only happens once every 4 years, although it's really once every 2 years because you have the Winter Olympics and then the summer. But it has a sort of plays on that human part of our brain that likes events that are unusual. I guess there's enough other people that feel the same way. I don't know.
Have they done any esports in the Olympics yet?
Not yet.
Do you think next Olympics or no?
I know there's been talk about that, so I'm going to do another quick search.
You know what I hope, and this goes all the way back to your very first appearance on NSFW show, Tom, is I would love it if there was an esports competition and in a wonderful bout of meta, you had to play Epic's Summer Games, which I played the theme song with. We made a little intro video for you. We had our own version of the Internet Olympics on the very first time that you joined us for NSFW show.
The Olympic esports game is planned as an international multi-esport event sponsored by the International Olympic Committee. So it has a connection to the Olympics, but it's not part of the Olympics. So that tells me they're trying it out. They're like, let's see what this would look like. But it's not being rolled into the main Olympics yet. So they're trying to see, like, should this be its own thing, the winter, the summer, and the E, or do we put it in one of those?
Ooh, I didn't even think about that. So think about this. Then you could get to every year. So you got winter 2 years, summer 2 years, and then in the mid years you could have strategy and Twitch types of games.
I was going to say winter games, summer games. Again, back to epics.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. I don't want it every year, though. It starts to be less special if it's every year.
Yeah,
it's already kind of less special being every 2 years, but it's just far enough that it doesn't feel that way.
I mean, and this is where you tend to see what they call brand dilution, right? Somebody figures out that they press a button and money comes out, and then, there's a quarterly meeting and somebody says, hey, isn't there a button we could press? And of course they don't realize that the more you press the button, the less it works.
Yeah. Stop pressing that button. Also, we got a trailer for Lilo and Stitch live action. Speaking of pressing the button again, coming to theaters May 23rd. The 24-hour traffic for the trailer was 158 million views, making it the second most viewed Disney live action trailer behind The Lion King.
Yeah, that's, I guess, yeah. Do you think that's a reflection for how beloved the property is or how hungry people are for the live action part, or just an indication of just how dominant a force Disney is becoming?
I'd guess it's the property. I think people really like Lilo and Stitch, and the trailer itself is really heartwarming.
Yeah,
like I watched it because I wanted to see what Lilo and Stitch look like. Oh, really?
No, but I saw it in the wild, and when I was thinking about watching it for this program, I thought, no, it's more interesting to say I encountered it in the wild and didn't make it through the whole thing.
Yeah, I love this story. Of course, my sister-in-law has a dog named Lilo because she liked this so much when it was first out. So I'm excited to see it for that. Yeah. But 158 million, making it the second most viewed Disney live action trailer. But that is actually less impressive than it sounds.
Yeah.
All right, we got a teaser trailer for All You Need Is Kill, which is an animated version of the manga that will be directed by Kenichiro Okamoto. If you know Children of the Sea or Harmony, he did those. And you probably know it more, Brian, as the Edge of Tomorrow source material. So the movie Edge of Tomorrow, or Live, Die, Repeat, this thing has 1,000 names, was starring Tom Cruise and was widely hailed as being very good. This is making an anime of the source manga.
Yeah, no, I love Edge of Tomorrow. It's very, very good. And if you know that's, the source material that you're seeing, it's very, very clear in the anime. Also, the best part is everybody who kept complaining, I don't see why they had to change anything about it. They should have just, guess what? You can shut up now. Congrats.
Here, you got it. Yay, you win.
By the way, I'm excited too. I can't
Yeah,
wait
me
to
too.
watch it.
Yeah.
It's a good story.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, in what I think is a true mark that we are in the world of the reckoning, the Cords have been killed. HBO's True Detective Night Country set for a run on TNT starting March 28th to get people to understand that there's great stuff on Max. If you're still watching cable, hey folks, we are going to be shutting cable down one of these days. Hey, maybe not for a few years, but you should know what's happening on streaming. Also, April 3rd through the 7th, even more directly, TBS is going to show 2 episodes of Hacks back to back every night leading up to the season 4 premiere, which will of course happen April 10th on Max. So in a total turnabout from the way it used to be, using cable television as a way to get people excited to sign up for a streaming service so they can watch the premiere of the new season.
Yeah, to be honest, it's a good use for it because this is, for the last 6-7 months, I've been really dialed into how YouTube does stuff. And because I've been focused every single day with making sure to post 2 to 3 shorts, YouTube shorts, it's very clear that the YouTube shorts audience is a different audience than the videos audience. However, every so often a short will take off and there'll be 17 million views on that one short. We hit a runner this past week and that translated into 20,000 subscribers, which translated into, I don't know, about 5 to 25,000 more views on the video that the short came from. It was great discovery content. And what I loved about it is by the channel flipping nature of shorts, it was able to reach out and audition to the tune of exactly 1 minute long, a little slice of what we're about. And some number of those people made it all the way through and hopefully are becoming new fans. That's exactly what's happening because who's the audience who probably has never seen Hacks? Which of the networks is probably the kind of network that they're hanging out on, watching the, I don't know, what do you got kind of entertainment. And this is ideal. So cable, I think, is going to become the YouTube shorts of intellectual property now.
Yeah. And it used to be the other way. I did a whole thing on DTNS earlier this week that it used to be you'd get the free episode on iTunes in advance of the airing on TV to get you excited. Or, we'll show you the back episodes on Hulu, but the new episodes won't show up on Hulu until 1 to 3 days after they air. So if you really want to watch it, go to broadcast. It's the other way around now. Like new episodes show up on streaming immediately, sometimes only in the case of Hacks. And it's, let's give you some of the old episodes of Hacks to get you excited for the new ones, but you'll need Max for the new ones. Like we know this is the case, but this is another example of the fact that streaming is leading now.
It's taken a very long time for us to get here, but this intuitively makes sense to me because it's the difference between opt-out versus opt-in content, right? So it's like if you care about it, you have to take action. And this is something I've thought about for 17 years now because teaching magic upset a lot of people. Everybody got upset when the Secrets Exposed specials happened because that was opt-out content just attacking you. Like you're minding your own business. Suddenly it's teaching you a magic trick. And a lot of magicians were upset by that. Whereas the difference between teaching and exposure, as they describe it, is does the student have to take some kind of action? Do you have to show up to the meeting? Do you have to spend $5? Do you have to open the book, go to the library. And granted, that window got as small as click subscribe, but it's still a barrier. And so I still, every so often, I have to think about what magic tricks I'm comfortable putting in YouTube Shorts versus on like, for opt out versus opt in. And so I don't know. I'm kind of glad to see the natural order of things as I understood it taking root.
Yeah. We predicted this way back in 2014 or actually before
Even
that,
before.
2010.
Yeah.
Let's move on then to expose you to some new stuff in the buried treasure.
Only if I opt in.
Most people want to know why they suddenly got rich.
Buried treasure.
Buried Treasure is the portion of our show where Brian and I talk about some of the things we've been watching, so you might want to add them to your to-watch list. Brian, what you got?
So it was kind of a toss-up. I actually wanted to get the kids to maybe watch Daredevil, but some of them hadn't seen the first iteration or maybe didn't care about it or whatever. And that Rarest of Gifts popped up. That moment when I stumbled across a thumbnail and I saw, I went to Rotten Tomatoes, as I often do, and I saw something that confused me. A tomatometer of 97%, a popcorn meter of 98%, a thumbnail that I knew all three of my daughters would instantly love, and an Oscar. So I watched Flow, the movie about a cat that can't catch a fish.
A lot of you probably didn't expect that that's where that story was going to end. Yeah, Flow is good. I don't know anything about it, to be honest.
Well, I don't know. First of all, it's a crime. It's one of those years. Like, I'm glad that it has a lot of exposure. It came from a very small studio in Lithuania, I think, or something like that.
Is it live action?
No, it's animated, and it's not that great of animation. I'm sorry to anybody who worked on Flow. It looks like it was rendered in a game engine, and the plot beats are all kind of problem solving. It's like watching somebody do a let's play of things, which is fine. It also is one of those movies, and you see this, or I did growing up in Europe, because of language barriers, it's easier to get bigger distribution if you don't have dialogue that you have to translate into a bunch of different languages. So you got kind of clunky by the numbers animation, cell shaded stuff. However, the environment is the real star of the show. It's this haunting, strange world where just water rises and water goes down to massive amounts. And it starts off without being very cartoony. It almost looks like, oh, yeah, that's how a cat would be. That's how dogs would be. That's how, I guess, a capybara would be. Are lemurs like that? I don't know what kind of bird this is. And then by the end, the characters emerge, and this is all without any dialogue whatsoever, where it's like if they just started talking at that point, it would faze me not at all, because their characters came through in the situations, how they react to each other. And in that regard, it was stellar. It was stellar. Do I think it was a better animated feature than Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse? Not at all. I think that should have won Best Animated Feature. However, am I thrilled that good art bubbled to the surface and is now getting massive exposure? Yes, absolutely. Also, Tom, there is a hilarious number of logos at the beginning of this. As you can imagine, from a small little studio, gets acquired, and there's one thing that nobody budges on, is like our logo stays where it is.
Yeah.
I kid you not. I think there are 24 logo segments. Like all four of us, Bonnie's out of town, all four of us began to laugh and cheer every time yet another logo came up in the opening. It was amazing.
That's awesome. Where did you watch it?
I just obeyed whatever Just Watch told me to do. I think I went to Amazon and just paid to rent it or bought it, or it was
so if someone's listening and says, I want to see Flow, where should I go? Your advice is look it up on Just Watch.
That's always, we do bother to say, here, you know what? Here, you talk about what you watched, and I'm going to open up justwatch.com and do it.
Okay. Thank you. You mentioned Daredevil, and Eileen and I were big fans of the original. So we watched Daredevil Born Again. We are a little bit behind, though, so I don't know what that says about it, but
HBO Max. It's on Max.
It's on Max. Okay, Flow is on Max. we really enjoyed watching the first 2 episodes. It was good to see the old favorites back. Everybody's back at the very beginning of the episode. There's nary a major character missing. It immediately sends you into the world with some action. You're not waiting around to be like, well, is he going to put on the suit or not? What?
You say every. Is there a certain favorite character of mine?
Which is your favorite character?
Is She-Hulk in it?
Oh, She-Hulk was not in the Netflix series. So when I say every character from the original, I mean every character from the Daredevil Netflix show.
Okay, all right. See, I didn't know if we were counting Mustard and Ketchup Daredevil.
But no,
as well.
You got Wilson Fisk. You've got Froggy. You've got baby Jessica from True Blood. I can never remember her name in the Daredevil
Jessica
show.
Jones.
No, not Jessica Jones. The lawyer from Daredevil.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Jessica Jones not in this yet, at least not in the episodes I have seen. But again, not a main character from Daredevil, main character of her own thing. So I think it's good. I think it's really an excellent, like, if you liked things about the original Daredevil, you're going to get them, but also we are growing it. It plays almost as a new season of the Netflix Daredevil, but also we're kind of treading over some ground again, in a way that they wave their hand a little bit of like, well, we're not going to talk about all the details in the past, but we will not contradict that they happened. You also have some major conflict between Wilson Fisk and his wife, who is same character, same actor who played her in the Netflix series, which makes things more interesting. So yeah, Daredevil Born Again. If you liked the original Daredevil, I'd say go get another cup of Daredevil at Disney Plus.
Right on.
If you got something we should be on the lookout for, email us cordkillers@gmail.com. Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
I'm going to launch another podcast.
Oh, thank goodness. I was just thinking to myself, Tom doesn't do enough podcasts.
I know. Yeah. I'm not going to host this one though.
Oh, okay. But you'll be on it, right?
Yeah. I'm trying my hand at, you guys take my idea and do it. This actually came about by me going like, I have this idea for a show, and someone going, good luck with that. If you ever want to do this kind of show, let me know. And I'm like, let's do your idea. So starting on March 24th, Monday through Friday, 5 minutes of music news from Brian Ibbott and Eileen Rivera. You can find it at Daily Music Headlines, dailymusicheadlines.com. There's an example episode hosted by Ibbott in there right now. But the idea is to just take what works for daily tech headlines, like just keep me updated on the important stuff, but for the music industry.
All right, I'm looking it up right now. Just search for Daily Music
Headlines. Exactly. And Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, it'll be Ibbott. And Eileen will be hosting it on Thursdays, although not for the first couple of weeks because we'll be traveling, but it'll be Ibbott. It'll be produced by Amos and Hammond Chamberlain, who you may know from the Frog Pants universe as well, helps me out on DTNS briefing as well. So yeah, if you're into music, if you're not into music, this is not going to be for you because it's all about music headlines. But if you want to just keep up on like who's got new stuff out, what's topping the Billboard charts, who's on tour when, that's the kind of thing you'll get. DailyMusicHeadlines.com.
Right on. Let's
scan the horizon.
Send a scanning crew aboard.
Scanning the horizon!
Google released a fix for that Chromecast bug we talked about. If you have a second generation Chromecast or Chromecast audio device, they were returning an untrusted device era. Speculation is that there was a baked in certificate on the device that expired, and that's why it was harder to fix. But connected devices should have received the update by now if you had them on the internet. However, if you tried a factory reset, it may have still worked, in which case you're fine. But if you did a factory reset and you're like, I still don't have an update or it's still not working, you might have to wait for a further fix. There's more details if you go to Google's website, but it does sound like they've got it fixed for most people.
Interesting. So I wonder for that kind of hardware issue, if that's what it is, if they essentially had to figure out a way to hack their own devices.
Probably. If it's an expired certificate, they had to figure out how to trick the device into letting an update come, because they're like,
jailbreak their
that
own
certificate's expired. I don't see how you can prove who you are. So yeah. Lionsgate and Egan Productions' immersive John Wick experience is now open in Las Vegas. I don't know if we want to be getting the habit of covering experiences related to the stuff we watch.
I am here for it. This is all part of the game. This is way deep down. This is the equivalent of if channel flipping is YouTube Shorts and then content is the over the top stuff. This is YouTube Live. This is getting all the way in.
So Area 15 is a really fun place with lots of installations, and it's really weird. It's kind of hard to explain.
You've been there, right?
Yeah. I've been there.
When I went there, they were doing their Megamart art
the Megamart installation.
Megamart.
Was it Omega Mart? Yeah, I think it was Omega.
Omega something.
Yeah. Where it's like a end of the world alternate universe grocery store
with video golf.
Yeah. But there's also like bars and restaurants and other kinds of experiences and stuff there. So they rotate them out from time to time. And the John Wick experience is going to be one of them. It'll have more than a dozen themed rooms, live interactions, interactive gameplay. Each group of guests passing through the John Wick experience have to complete a mission that plays out. So it's got a little bit of an escape room feel to it. There's a lot of that escape room type stuff at Area 15. And you can participate with characters from the universe, not Keanu Reeves, but, characters that would have appeared in the universe. And there are 2 bars and a shop. There's always a shop. But yeah, you can just hang out in the John Wick bar if you want.
Of course there is. I appear to be frozen on video, so you tell me about the next story, and I'll be back, I promise.
Okay. Some Roku customers say they are seeing video ads play when they turn on their Roku, or even just wake up the Roku. Before they get to the home screen, a little trailer plays. Most people are saying it's Moana 2. Not everybody's getting this. The ads do have a close option, though a lot of people say they haven't seen the close option. Roku says it's trying out ad capabilities, but they are not a permanent part of the experience. So don't get too mad at them. They're just testing out to see how mad you really will get, because you'll say you're mad, but does it stop you from watching things? I don't know about this, Brian, but it does seem to have made a lot of people very angry, as ads often do. So it's always hard to tell if people are just angry or if it's going to affect their behavior. Now, I've seen people say like, that's it, I'm not using Roku anymore. And I'm sure enough people mean that it's true, but I don't know how many of them actually are doing it. And Roku very wisely is like, this isn't permanent. We're just trying stuff out.
I just experienced something transcendental. It was as though I donated to Patreon. I saw stars and I learned how to properly get rid of the hurt.
I'm pretty sure that your mic is on the moon versus the one that you mean to be talking into.
I think you know what? I fixed the video, but now my audio. Here, hold on.
We're trying to get a hold of Brian. He's calling from inside the submarine.
Oh no!
There we go. That's much better. Yeah, that was pretty good. That's a pretty good effect if you ever need to sound like you're an old timey broadcaster.
I'll make sure to make a note of that. Meanwhile, you know what? That was an effective demonstration, Tom, of what the Google engineers had to do in order to update those Chromecasts.
And as far as the Roku story goes, rolling a video ad, even as a test before you get to your home screen, how do you feel about that?
You know how I feel about it, Tom.
Love it.
Where do I have to write a check to cause that to not happen to me?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that it's different. And so people are more angry than they would be if it became permanent, but I don't love it. I'm not going to lie. I want to wait. I'm with you. I want a way to avoid it if possible. A couple other things here. Warner has migrated Discovery Plus to the same technology platform as Max. So if you're a Discovery Plus user, remember they were going to get rid of Discovery Plus. They finally got around to migrating it, so it should have better app performance, better video performance. The Dodgers are going to offer Sportsnet LA to subscribers for $29.99 a month. You'll access it through MLB's apps and websites, making it a feather in the cap, as MLB.com says, of MLB strategy to offer everything in one place. So 23 of the 30 Major League Baseball teams now have a direct-to-you streaming option.
Yeah, I know nobody loves getting squeezed for their maximum value, but I got to tell you, man, the economist in my brain really is excited for humans to get more used to the idea of paying what things are actually
instead of having it masked by subscription fees
or by gray market stuff like your StubHubs and stuff, or the whole kabuki dance of not charging allows for too much grift. Like personally, I'm really cheering for the possibility of Grand Theft Auto being $100 because that game is worth $100, and the people who are working very hard on it, it is worth 2 nights out to the movies with your family to go, for that game. And so anyway, peripherally related, but yeah.
I don't know if the Dodgers are worth $30 a month. I say that as someone who has a devout Dodgers fan in the household, and having Dodgers through DirecTV Stream is a huge benefit to her and therefore my life. And I enjoy watching the games with her. However, and maybe we would pay $30 a month. Previously, the price you had to pay to get the Dodgers only was nothing. No amount of money. No amount of money could cause them to give you the Dodgers directly. So they have come down from there is not a price you can name that would let us do that, to $30, because they still want you to subscribe to Spectrum, really. They're like, let's price this at the high end because we don't want too many people to do it. I wonder, in a totally open market where they were just like, yeah, we don't care how many people do this. We want as many people to do this as possible because we know no one cares about Spectrum cable anymore. If this would be more like $15 or something like that. On the other hand, it's the Dodgers, it's Los Angeles. So maybe it's just $30. Maybe I just need to get used to that price.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the cheddar. Got mail. We do have mail.
I wanted to hear sorry, I was going to say I liked your Michael Winslow version of it. You started to sing the theme song there.
Yannick from Montreal writes, "Hello, Tom and Brian. You recently asked how people are listening to the podcast and what activity you're accompanying. I've been using Pocket Cast ever since I got into listening to podcasts, and its best feature is the episode queuing feature. As shows I listen to come out, they automatically get downloaded and added to the queue. When I want to listen to podcasts, I just press play in the app and listen to whatever podcast I was in. I don't need to see what's available or what day of the week it is. When one episode finishes, it automatically plays the next one in the queue. Essentially, it's my own custom radio station wherever I am. Doing dishes, going to work, exercising, driving to run errands, etc."
I did not know this is a thing, and I'm just looking, and sure enough, there it is. It says the queue, and
I love my queue. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to put it in there.
I even go in and rearrange things in the queue sometimes. Like I'll go in the queue and I'll be like, well, I kind of want to listen to World's Greatest Con right now, so let me just shove that one right up at the top. But it's always the things I want to listen to. And yes, in the order in which they appear, and you can still push them around. So I'm a big.
You know what's interesting, Tom? Structurally, at some point, I think I tried to add an RSS feed for a paid Substack feed to Pocket Cast, and it wasn't playing nicely at the time. So I ended up in this weird spot where I open up Overcast for any of the things I pay for the ad-free feeds, and Pocket Cast is sort of the land of TV and candy, where it's like ads come in and I get accustomed to hitting that skip.
I don't know if it's just my own experience or something changed, but I have all my Substack and Patreon RSS feeds in Pocket Casts.
Yeah, whatever it was, and it might have been just a momentary hiccup, but it's funny how those brief moments will kind of associate groove that gets deeper over time.
And then we got an email from Trent who said, was listening to Welcome to Night Vale's feed when they dropped a new show that looks at the best and worst episodes of a TV show. Not saying they've been listening to Cordkillers, but they've totally been listening to Cordkillers. Anyway, don't know if you covered this before. It moved to the main feed, but recently I've been seeing a lot of references to moonlighting. So much so that I went out and found the first episode to watch, which I found, well, of its time would be the nicest way to describe it. It was a behemoth back in the day, and I remember loving the show as a kid. Would be interesting to hear it get the full experience.
I'll tell you what, patrons, buckle up, because I think in After Talk, we got to talk about getting more serious about busting out the full experience as, we got some structural things to tweak, because that's a show. The full experience should be a weekly show where you get, the whole thing in segments.
Absolutely. So stay tuned for that at patreon.com/cordkillers. Thanks everybody for watching. Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. And we are live at twitch.tv/nightattack Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific. I reckon we'll talk to you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.